Let us now see the setting and atmosphere of the novel Wuthering Heights. One of the most remarkable and unforgettable things about Wuthering Heights is its bleak and rugged setting. One cannot imagine the weird events recounted in the novel to have taken place in any other setting than the one of the isolated and remote moorlands. The moors symbolize freedom, absence of restraint, as well as inaccessibility and inhospitality. But this setting harmonizes perfectly with the passionate and rugged natures of Catherine and Heathcliff. Thrushcross Grange is also part of the setting, however, and we find that the novel ends with the flowers of the Grange being transplanted near the heights. There are so many advantages of this special kind of setting for the novel. The setting of the story is the wild and rugged moorland country of Yorkshire in the north of England. The time is the last quarter of the 18th century, from 1769 to 1802. In spite of the author's limitation of her setting to two houses, Heights, the home of the Earnshaws, and Thrushcross Grange, the home of the Lintons, and the moors which lie between them. She has achieved the effect of vastness, confining the universe in this small area. At the same time, she has created a feeling of isolation, which makes the events of the story seem more probable. So, Emily Bronte, the novelist, has selected a beautiful setting for her novel, Wuthering Heights. The two houses described in the novel, the Grange and the Heights, have a very special significance. The two houses form a contrast in setting as well as in the character of their occupants. Wuthering Heights stands for the principle of storm. Lockwood describes it in these words: Wuthering Heights is the name of Mr. Heathcliff's dwelling, wuthering being a significant provincial adjective descriptive of the atmospheric tumult to which its station is exposed in stormy weather. Pure, bracing ventilation they must have up there at all times. Indeed, one may guess the power of the north wind blowing over the edge by the excessive slant of a few stunted firs at the end of the house, and by a range of gaunt thorns, all stretching their limbs one way as if craving arms of the sun. Happily, the architect had the foresight to build it strong. The narrow windows are deeply set in the wall, and the corners defended with large jutting stones. Unquote. Now let us see the description of the height. The interior of the house is described in this manner. One step brought us into the family sitting room without any introductory lobby or passage. They call it here the house preeminently. It includes kitchen and parlor generally, but I believe at Wuthering Heights, the kitchen is forced to retreat altogether into another quarter. At least I distinguished a chatter of tongues and a clatter of culinary utensils deep within, and I observed no signs of roasting, boiling, or baking about the huge fireplace, nor any glitter of copper saucepans and tin culanders on the walls. Unquote. Now let us see the Grange as described in the novel. Thrushcross Grange is set in a pleasant valley surrounded by a walled park with trees and flowers. It represents the principle of calm. Heathcliff describes for Nellie his first view of the interior in this manner. It was beautiful, a splendid place carpeted with crimson and crimson-covered chairs and tables, and a pure white ceiling bordered by gold, a shower of glass drops hanging in silver chains from the center and shimmering with little soft tapers, unquote. Then we have the description of the Moors. The Moors come vividly before the reader's eyes in the brief but telling glimpses the author gives in the novel. Kathy's love of nature, especially of nature in motion, must have been intense. She suggests the mist and cold and mud and frost of the moors, as well as its blue skies and singing birds and budding March crocuses. One of the longer passages of description in the novel comes in Kathy's argument with Linton, in which Kathy says, "One time, however, we were near quarreling. He said the pleasantest manner of spending a hot July day was lying from morning till evening on a bank of heath in the middle of the moors, with the bees humming dreamily above among the bloom, and the larks singing high up overhead, and the blue sky and bright sun shining steadily and cloudlessly. That was his most perfect idea of heaven's happiness. Mine was rocking in a rustling green tree, with a west wind blowing and bright white clouds flitting rapidly above, and not only larks, but throstles and blackbirds and linnets and cuckoos pouring out music on every side, and the moors seen at a distance, broken into cool dusky dells. But close by, great swells of long grass undulating in waves to the breeze, and woods and sounding water, and the whole world awake and wild with joy. He wanted all to lie in an ecstasy of peace. I wanted all to sparkle and dance in a glorious jubilee. I said his heaven would be only half alive, and he said mine would be drunk. I said I should fall asleep in his, and he said he could not breathe in mine, and began to grow very snappish. At last, we agreed to try both as soon as the right weather came, and then we kissed each other and were friends." Unquote. Now, let's see the atmosphere of the novel. The atmosphere of the novel is wild and elemental. Catherine and Heathcliff, in the violence of their characters, seem almost a part of the wilderness of nature. They love to roam the moors by day or night as children, and after their deaths, the reader feels that their spirits haunt the scenes which they knew during life. Apart from this pervading atmosphere of violence and gloom, there are touches of tenderness and beauty which provide relief and contrast. Thank you.